Welcome to EGO NetCast. I am Martin Lindeskog. This is episode 74 and title is Patronage and Freedom of Speech. I have signed up for the gold membership for a service called Ko-fi, ko-fi.com. Coffee. Sounds like coffee, and I am a tea drinker, so I had to upgrade to the gold membership in order to change the title or the call to action from buy a coffee for Martin Lindeskog to buy a tea for Martin Lindeskog. So a bit jokingly there, but also be serious at the same time, because I'm a tea enthusiast, as you know. So now you could buy me a tea, and I from the outset I set $3 as so-called the minimum or the standard price there. So could you get a cup of tea or a cuppa in USA, in England, or Australia, and other places around the world that's listening to this podcast, and for $3, I would like to have your recommendations there. Where do you get a cup of tea? So a cup of tea per day, and I will continue to podcasting, blogging, creating new media on a regular basis. So this is on a serious note, to have a patronage here and find alternative also to Patron. That's a great service. There have been some debate about that lately with the terms of service. And as I said, Patron is a private company, and they decide their own rules. But lately there have been people who have been leaving or left this donation service on a regular basis. So, for example, Rubin Report and others. So, do you have any alternatives out there? I will still, for the record, keep my Patreon page. So you could go to patreon.com/Lyceum and donate there. But I will concentrate now on this coffee.com/Lyceum instead. But I will keep the Patreon, as I have one patron there, Eileen Smith. It's great. She's creating great content on a regular basis, and she gives me a donation there per month, and I give her a donation per month, so I could have this rolling. But as I said, now I'll test this new service, Coffee. And I will include also what in the industry here, Podcast Business Journal, Patreon have done some updates and changes. Probably during the fact that what's happened lately and the debate about Patreon. And I also, back in the day, I did a presentation, a talk on how you could support content creators using the presentation tool Haiku, and I then mentioned Patreon, and also had a sidekick that talked during this presentation about the challenges with getting support on a continuous basis. And that's the thing. You could have your tip jar and get now and then tips, but how to get it on a regular basis, because I will keep doing this so-called for free. But I have, as I said in the previous episode, I have costs involved with this podcasting and blogging, etc. So I would be happy to, as I had in the Renaissance days, you had mecenates and you have supporters that supported the great art and also the freedom of speech. Because we have the old media here and we have new media. Some call it even alternative media. And then to spread the good word regarding new media, business philosophy and the good life, including tea. That's my thing. That's my specialization and my unique way of doing it. So I will continue doing this for the long run, and I have done it for podcasting since 2006 and blogging since 2002. Other alternatives out there is Flattr, Flittr. There have been some debate about them also, because some of the founders were linked to the Pirate Bay swear and so on. So I had some issues with that, but I still have an account there. I'm still waiting for some confirmation there from them regarding bank details and so on, but we'll see. So I will include that in the show notes, how you could support Flattr, my account there also. And now they are belonging to, I think it was an organization that bought them. They are into, maybe it's blockchain or some private like VPN service or something like that. So that's coming back to the freedom of speech topic. And if you get this donation, a hat tip, it's a positive reinforcement to continue doing this. As I said, my philosophy is based on that you will not do any sacrifices. I'm not for altruism, I'm for egoism, rational selfishness. So you should do this for your own sake, and if you value my work, you should do a donation. You could do it on a regular thing on Patreon, like $1 every month, or now on Coffee. You could do it one tip for $3 and give me a cup of tea, or you could also do it on a regular basis. And I'm interested to hear about what you want to have as perks and continuous content creation, what you want me to do, and I will add that along the way. So this is the plan. And I want to support others. As I said, on Patreon, I talked about it before, my interest in tea, so I will continue ongoing education on tea by some individuals involved in the Tea Association in America. So there I want to get money so I could support them, so on Patreon. And if it's like $10 per month there to have education. So maybe I could come up with something similar to that. We could have some kind of education when it comes to new media, business philosophy, and the good life on a regular basis. So please give me ideas and tips on how you want to do this. And the gold membership service is like $6 per month in order to have this. They have extra features. So that's my first goal, to cover the cost, because otherwise it's the same thing as before, that I'm very positive to support other content creators and services and companies, and doing it on a regular basis. And then I want to cover that in a way, in one way or another. A service that could be interesting for podcasters, both for myself and also my clients, for-profit and non-for-profit clients, is a service called pod.fan, like fan, not the swear word in Swedish, the joke. So a fan. And they will roll out this service, and it was like a couple of euros or pounds or dollars per member to use this service, and then you could have special content, exclusive content, so on. So I will follow this, and I'm interested to talk to founders, the people behind this service in some time in the future. So pod.fan. Another service that I'm thinking of getting, like a premium service, is what Lyceum is doing with their official Voxer group. It's like a walkie-talkie. So there you could raise things and questions and talk about podcasting in general and specific questions regarding Lyceum and so on. And there it's a free version that I'm using, and you could give me a call or shout out a message through Voxer. If you go to egonetcast.com/contact. So egonetcast.com/contact. And there you have this Voxer things. You could record a message, an audio message. And I'm thinking of getting a premium there, because then you could do other things like, you could have conversations with your members, with your fans, subscribers, clients, etc. I know that Elsie Escobar of She Podcast and of Libsyn, the official Libsyn podcast, The Feed, she's doing that for her podcasting clients and mastermind groups, etc. So it's something that I will look into. But as I said, then it's another cost there to cover. So I will include here one thing that got me thinking here now, doing this on a regular basis, is when I checked my LinkedIn account, I saw an update from, I took a sip here now of tea, Joakim Jardenberg, or Jocke Jardenberg. Will include his LinkedIn profile. So there he did a live streaming on LinkedIn. I think he used third-party equipment there in order to record it and doing it live. And he was one of the first here in Sweden doing this. I will include a blog post by Social Media Examiner. That was in February, I think, when we talked about this in America. So this could be interesting to do live streaming on LinkedIn. If this is something that you would be interested in, to have a conversation and live streaming about business philosophy, new media, and the good life, and also LinkedIn social media platforms. I'm happy to test this out in the future. But it's also a back side to this, or a flip on the coin, you could say. Here in Sweden, if you are doing live streaming on a regular basis, you are so-called legally responsible publisher or editor. I joke that myself when I'm doing on my first blog, EGO, on Blogspot, owned by Google. I do sometimes editor's note, and that's myself, it's nobody else. But if you do live streaming, you should have a publication license in a way. And that's when you have a magazine or newspaper, but also website. You should have one person, often it's the president or the manager or the owner, that's responsible for all the things that's said or recorded on the site, and also that you should be able to edit it if something is not according to freedom of speech, so to speak, something that's not legal or something that's not bad in some way or another. So, but Joakim Jardenberg is making good point here. That's why. So we are now doing a illegal thing. So it's time to legalize privacy, but also freedom of speech. I'm responsible for what I'm saying, and you should be responsible for what you're saying and doing. Take consequences of that. So do we need, as private individuals, a publication license for that? I'm thinking of getting this license in the future, because maybe you have another so-called status. I'm not after that. But you will be looked as a so-called serious journalist or media outlet. So maybe I should do that. But that's, again, another cost, is 2,000 Swedish crowns to do this. I don't know if it's per year or if it's one-time fee. And maybe you will be able to be, sued or other things like that if you are then a legally responsible publisher. I don't know. So I have to look into this, and then that will take time, and maybe also some legal things. Maybe I have to talk to a lawyer or getting some professional help here. So what's your take on that? Should I become publisher, a legally responsible publisher, and get this publication license for teaparty.media? What's your thoughts? And here also in Sweden there have been a debate now for alternative media. The old media is pretty scared what's happening, how we are consuming content nowadays. Regular media is in order to make profit, and I'm all for it, they have to put now payment walls for their articles, because you have journalists that are educated, spending lots of time doing great work, hopefully, on articles, and I see great journals out there. I see also mainstream media journals that not so great, but that's another story. But they have costs, they have overhead costs, they have printing press and so on. So they have things that they have to cover, but we have talked about cost here. So when they are doing these payment walls, so subscribers could see it, but not non-subscribers could not read material. What's your thoughts about that? Are you for paying this extra subscription to read material? It's hard to link. That's another thing that we'll talk about later on. This article 13 or 11 that's now in European Union about its link tax, that you're not allowed to link to others' sources or other websites. I know it's a complicated issue and maybe it's not so straightforward as I'm saying here, but the whole idea that linking is the currency on the internet, on the World Wide Web, that we link to other pages, blog posts, blogs, articles, etc. So it's lots of things to think about here to do it right. And with this, the debate have come from journalists, similar to when I joined Pajamas Media, when they had Dan Rader fell from his post as an anchor because he has used information that was not researched and fact-checking. It was an issue about Bush, one of the Bushes, the president, and then he had to leave. And then I think somebody at New York Times said something about the bloggers were sitting in their pajamas, and how Pajamas Media started. But here now in Sweden they are calling so-called independent media or indie bloggers and indie journalists that have their own blogs and platforms for Swish journalists or Swish media. And Swish is a payment service here in Sweden and Scandinavia, Nordic countries. So if you have a phone number and connect that to your bank account, and you have an identification service called Bank ID, checking it's correct, then if you have a phone number, you could send a donation or payment or something like that. So that's very convenient to do that. I have an example that I did that at a cafe. Somebody in front of me in the line said, I forgot my card. How should I do? And then I offered me, it was a person I didn't know, as a service, and say, okay, I could pay it, your cup of coffee or tea or what it was, and you could then Swish me and send the payment there. And she was very happy about that. So that's what you could do. But then this rumor or bad rap about that it's easy to Swish independent journalist. So that's something we could talk about in the future. I will see if I have any English translation there about Swish. And at the end here, I will do then talking about how you could send directly donations to me, and then you go to paypal.me/ my last name Lindeskog. Then you could do that. And my goal is to do is publishing a new episode every week here for 5 times per week, so about 200-250 on a yearly basis. So that's my goal. So talk to you soon again, and I will take a sip of us some golden tea that Johan Gustafsson and I reviewed on our podcast called Produktivitet in Swedish. How to be productive and drink tea at the same time. Cheers!